All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at two totally different ideas about what happens to the human soul in the future. On one side, you have the gritty, biological, almost nightmarish resurrection from Frank Herbert's Dune, and on the other, the sleek, clean promise of digital immortality.
Just think about it for a second. What if you had the ultimate cheat code? Not for a video game, but for existence itself. You get to that game over screen that every single person in history has had to face, and you just hit reset. You reboot, wake up fresh, all your memories intact, ready for round two, or maybe even round 2000. That's the dream of digital immortality.
So, let's dig in. We've got two completely different blueprints for how to cheat death. One is biological, it's messy, it's rooted in flesh and blood. The other is super sleek, clean, built entirely from data. And this isn't just about the technology, you know? It's a fundamental clash over what it even means to be human.
Okay, so in Frank Herbert's Dune, you get the Ghola. It's a clone grown in a tank, and its memories have to be unlocked through intense, often torturous trauma. I mean, it's visceral, it's painful, and it's all controlled by these shadowy factions. But then you look at Peter F. Hamilton's Commonwealth, and death is just an inconvenience. You wake up in a brand new body, your memories neatly downloaded from a secure crystal. One is a terrifying, gut-wrenching rebirth. The other is basically just a system restore.
But here's where it gets really interesting. We didn't just sit around and compare these two ideas ourselves. No way. If we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and digital minds, we figured, why not ask the experts? So that's what we did. We fed these two sci-fi visions into some of the world's most advanced AI models and basically told them, debate it. And we're not talking about just any models here. We're talking about the heavy hitters, the big guns from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google. We essentially asked these massive artificial brains to hash out the ethics of their own potential existence, just using science fiction as the battleground. And the results? Wow, they were fascinating. The AIs didn't just spit back plot summaries, they took sides, they had opinions. Each one developed its own distinct personality in the debate. So let's get into what they had to say. First up was Anthropic. Its models immediately stepped into the role of the philosopher. They weren't really interested in the tech specs or the hardware. They wanted to talk about the nature of the soul. Anthropic framed the entire debate around this classic paradox. You know the one. If you replace every single plank on a ship, piece by piece, is it still the same ship at the end? And they argued that Herbert's Ghola is exactly that. It's a new entity, just haunted by old memories. It's not a continuation of you. It's a perfect copy, a reenactment of a life that's already over. And this is what Anthropic came up with to summarize its whole argument, citing poetically with Herbert. The AI generated this line, and it's just chillingly profound. The idea is that if you take away the end, if you get rid of death, you also get rid of the urgency, the meaning, the very things that push us to do anything important in the first place. Next up, we have Google, and the vibe was completely different. Its AI acted like a user experience designer, focusing on the gritty, visceral, the user experience of each kind of immortality. Gemini came up with this fantastic analogy. It said Hamilton's world of real life is clean, it's seamless, it's like walking into an Apple store. You buy the product, and it just works. But Herbert's world, that's dirty. It smells like chemicals and vats. And here's the key difference it pointed out. One form of immortality is a consumer product you buy, while the other is a terrible curse you're forced to endure. And then there was OpenAI. Its models came at this like cynical corporate lawyers. They completely ignored souls and smells. Instead, they were all about infrastructure, bureaucracy, and most importantly, control. OpenAI zeroed in on what's called the successor problem. And this is a real mind-bender. The point is this. If you die, and a perfect digital copy of your mind boots up, well, you are still dead. To the outside world, sure, you're immortal. But to your own internal, conscious self, the lights just went out. You've been replaced by a successor. That copy might be having a great time, but you're gone. This is the terrifying metaphor OpenAI models kept coming back to. If your consciousness can be copied, it can be owned, it can be edited, just like source code. It literally turns your very soul into a data file. And that just raises the ultimate, terrifying question. Who has the admin password to your brain? But we didn't stop there. We decided to take it a step further. We asked the AIs to simulate a panel of other sci-fi legends and have them weigh in on this whole debate, each in their own distinct voice. So, our AI simulated panel had Orson Scott Card playing the moralist, arguing that if you live forever, your choices don't mean anything. We had Adrian Tchaikovsky, the evolutionist, suggesting immortality should be about the survival of the species, not the individual. And then there was Alistair Reynolds, the hard science realist who just brought a huge dose of cosmic pessimism to the party.
And this was Alistair Reynolds' core argument, just perfectly synthesized by the AI. His point is brutally simple. The universe is a hostile place, and entropy is very, very real. We like to think of digital data as permanent, but servers fail, code corrupts. Bit rot is just as real as flesh rotting away. Your digital existence is incredibly fragile. Okay, so for the final round, we asked the AIs to simulate two more authors, this time to act as critics of the entire debate. Kim Stanley Robinson and Neil Stephenson. And let me tell you, they did not hold back.
The simulated Kim Stanley Robinson came in swinging, talking political economy. He basically said everyone was missing the point. We're all here debating souls when we should be talking about money and power. Who owns the technology? Because if it's a private corporation, they can literally change the terms of service on your existence. And that inevitably creates a gerontocracy, a permanent ruling class that never dies and just keeps accumulating infinite wealth.
And in a classic Robinson move, the AI had him ask about the practical stuff. Like, what's the energy cost to run one human consciousness 24/7? How many servers? How many megawatts? His point was simple. You can't have a digital heaven on a dying planet. You need a healthy biosphere to even support the technosphere. Then came the engineer, Neil Stephenson. He couldn't care less about souls or politics. He wanted to talk about bandwidths and latency. And the AI gave him this absolutely perfect metaphor for a controlled resurrection. Stevenson's argument, as the AIs laid it out, is that it's just plain bad engineering. The human brain runs on about 20 watts of power, less than a light bulb. A full digital simulation? That would take megawatts. But more importantly, a digital mind would think millions of times faster than the physical world. For you, interacting with us would be excruciatingly slow. It'd be like waiting a year for someone to say hello. You'd be trapped in a world made of molasses. So after all that, what does this all mean? We've got Herbert warning us about stagnation. Hamilton is offering a soul you can buy off the shelf. Robinson is pointing out the massive inequality it would create. And Stevenson is arguing the code itself is probably too buggy to even work. It seems like every vision of forever comes with a pretty steep price. Which really brings us to the final haunting question. If you could upload your mind right now, would you trust the terms of service? And maybe more importantly, if you are the backup, the copy, the file on the drive, did the original you actually survive? Or are you just a very, very convincing ghost?